All right, hey guys, welcome back to the Sales Org Masterclass. Let's dive right into where we left off in part one, which was core values. So to recap, my advice to you guys, whether you are just starting out that sales organizations or already running it, it's my belief, man, that you can't do anything without a value system that is going to provide the foundation for the house of your organization. And so again, at Revis, guys, we have 4 core values: simplicity, work ethic, accountability, and personal development. And in part one, I covered how we actually like to seek out candidates and find candidates who already align with those core values. And not just in a conversation, a guy telling me like, yeah, you know, I love that. I live by the same way. But we actually want to see proof of how they're already operating by some of those core values, so that by the time they come into our organization with other like-minded individuals, we are just getting stronger together as an army. So if you don't have core values, I highly suggest finding things that you're aligned with, that really define who you are, the standards of how you want to operate as a leader, as a business leader, as an organization, and as a team, and then put that staple in the ground that says, this is who we are, this is how we operate, and if you align with this, you would do really well here. All right, next, guys, we're going to talk quickly about the contracts and agreements. There's a lot that I could say about that, right? The biggest thing that most people really want to know about that is the commissions, right? The comp plans. So I'll tell you this, obviously you have, really 2 options as an organization. Either you're going to give people a really high red line, really high comp plan, or a fair one. And the way that, I would advise you guys to justify your pricing is on the value that you bring to the reps. So typically, if a company is door knocking only, for example, and they might not have a lot of, training and company gear and things of that nature, they're going to give a higher pricing on commission because the value that they bring to the sales reps or the newer sales reps is, in my opinion, slim to none, right? But if you're an organization and a leader where you provide a lot of training, like really great training and resources, not just training that you do yourself, but you bring in speakers, you bring in coaches, you bring in courses, all the things that people really need to not only get sharp at the beginning, get trained at the beginning, but to continue to get trained while they're in your organization over months and years to come, right? So if you have that great office space, great training, and you provide leads, then 100% absolutely you can justify and stand on a smaller commission or a bigger margin for the company because it's justified. Now, usually if a rep comes into your organization and, they see that they're going to have to hunt all their own deals, they have a higher red line than maybe their friend at ABC Solar, then that's when you got guys, making calls, making text messages to jump ship to something that they feel like is better, right? They can see that the grass is actually greener. So again, what is it that you provide to your reps that can justify the red line, the baseline, or the commission structure that you as the owner and leader are going to provide to them? Again, do you have that nice office space that inspires people to want to work? Are you providing company leads and appointments so they don't have to be on the phones as much, don't have to be on the doors as much? And are you providing softwares, whether that is, again, dialing softwares, knocking softwares, and again, the coaching and the courses that are going to give them continued education on not only the solar side of things, but the sales side of things, sales psychology, tonality, all of that stuff that we all need to know to go from good to great to expert, right, in this field. You don't do so just by showing up and just, kind of talking to them once a week. So next we're going to talk about training. So again, this whole part is you want to have a seamless onboarding experience, right? So in part one, we talked about recruiting a lot, how to find the ideal candidates, how to have the core values to make sure that those ideal candidates are actually who they say they are, and just increase the likelihood that they're actually going to make it, right? And stick in your organization and really just be a part of the team and be a natural fit, right? Like a puzzle. So the next piece is when we find the right people and we sell them on the opportunity that is solar, this next part is so important. Their seamless onboarding and how quickly they can go from what am I doing? How does this thing work? How do I get trained? How do I get in the field? How quickly can I get to a deal? How quickly can I get paid, right? All those steps that I just mentioned is the most important thing that needs to happen really as quickly as possible, but at a minimum 2 weeks to a month. A rep needs to be able to come in, quickly get trained seamlessly, right? Know their contracts, know how much they're going to get paid, know the chain of command in the organization, and then have a very clear roadmap to getting in the field, getting a deal, and getting paid. There's nothing worse when a guy comes into solar or even switches companies within solar and they start at a new company because of how high the commissions were or because their friends work there, and then everything is fuzzy. They don't really know who to report to. There's not a real clear schedule. Sometimes you guys have meetings, sometimes you don't. It's just kind of like the wild, wild west, right? So people need structure. There's the really cool thing about coming in solar is that, it's 1099. You help guys get into that entrepreneurship, that business owner feel, right? But what we all find is it's all great working on our own schedule, but at the end of the day, it's on you. It's on you to get up and knock the doors. It's on you to get up and show up to the meeting, to you to show up to that appointment, right? All human beings, we need that structure. So if you don't provide them a very detailed, clear picture of what is training gonna look like, what's the day-to-day gonna look like, it's very easy for them to get distracted or to seek out another opportunity, right? So from day one, reps need to know, once they sign that agreement, here's my comp plan, what am I doing now? And so you need to be able to have, obviously, digital signature contracts that allow someone to sign up easily. And then at that very same time, they need to get right into digital training, right? The digital training should be all of the technical aspects of what solar is, how net metering works, how kilowatts per hour works, what type of inverters you guys use, what type of panels, the panel sizes, like all that stuff. They need to be able to do without taking up your time as a leader, right? And then on top of that, you need to be able to have your pitch presentation and then some basic sales psychology all done before they spend any of the biggest company's resource or the leader's resource, which is your time. So I'll tell you about some of my shortcomings in the past. In the beginning, I love to sales train. Believe it or not, I don't consider myself a sales trainer. I just so happen to train differently than a lot of people. Some of you guys might say a lot better than a lot of people, but because I love to train, I would have all of our training classes be done in person by me every single time we had, a new training class. But as we started to scale the organization, we would have a new training class basically like every week to 2 weeks, depending on, the season and how often we were recruiting. So me being, the number one leader in the company, I can't dedicate that amount of my time each week to brand new people who, maybe 30 to 50% of them would not make it out of training. They wouldn't pass test out. It would just be not a great use of my time, right? When marketing needed me, closers needed me, operations needed me, installers may need me, all those sort of things. So you figure out in the beginning, how can I get the best use of my time? How can I expedite people? But also, how can I make sure that they're getting the highest quality resource that they could possibly need? That very introductory training into solar, believe it or not, is going to be so much better done digitally on a laptop. That way they can take notes, they can study on their own time, right? They can take in the information in the way that is going to be comfortable for them. They can digest it and it's not costing you, again, your time as an owner with bodies in the classroom, right? So the really cool thing about this whole process of digital training is obviously there's quizzes, there's workbooks, there's a way for you to make sure they're retaining the information by testing out before they pass to the next section. So at this point, they 100% have to retain the information to make it into your organization. So guys, think about it this way. So if they have to basically, just like Skool, pass the test out on the technical side of solar, pass the training courses test out procedure on your pitch presentation, by the time they come to you and make it on your team, they know everything. They know about the schedule, they know about the core values, they know how solar works, they know the pitch presentation. And so now by the time they show up to an in-person training, whether that be again in person or live on Zoom, they've got all that foundational work done. And that's the power of digital training and seamless onboarding. So how quickly can you set that up? When you meet a new candidate who gives you the thumbs up, how many hours go by after you get that thumbs up from the right fit candidate before they are enrolled, agreements are signed, and they are enrolled and signed up for that onboarded training class, and then eventually in the field, knocking doors, making cold calls, or running appointments for solar? Speed is king. I can't say that enough. One more thing about the comp plans. So again, we talked about, are you going to provide a really high comp plan and give little value, or are you going to provide a ton of value up front and then take a very fair margin for the company? Another thing that has always been kind of a really big benefit to our organization is I was really good at comp plans. So I've always created comp plans that drive performance, right? So if you just recruit a guy and you're like, hey, we make X amount of money per deal. So obviously if you sell X amount of deals per month, you can make X amount of money per year. That all sounds great to everybody on the front end, especially if they're like, man, you can make 5K per deal, 10K per deal, whatever the case may be. But that's not enough to continue to drive a human towards something greater that's going to take him or her through the solar coaster, right? Through the ups and downs of sales. Sometimes we close deals, sometimes we don't. Sometimes our installs are installed fast and sometimes they're not, right? If that person doesn't have something else that they can just go after, that they're driven towards other than just one standard pricing, you're going to lose people fast. So what I mean by having a comp plan that drives performance, you need to be able to basically put something in front of them that says, hey, every X amount of sales in the beginning beginning, you get this much, and then every X amount of sales, you get this much more, so on and so forth. So when you come work for our organization, there's no politics. You can get promoted if you desire leadership, but the way that you make more money here and get promoted is by your own production, not necessarily us. So you don't have to wait for me to promote you. Every 4 to 5 deals, you go into another tier comp plan, and it just keeps going on from there until you reach a certain class where you're just kind of untouchable. You get the best of the best in everything that we have to offer, right? So if you can set that up for them on day one, those guys who are really driven, they're going to be more so driven by that than anything else, because they want to reach the pinnacle. They want to reach the top, whatever that premium offer is, whatever that president's class is, whatever that top level is in your organization and in that comp plan, that is going to drive them so much more than any words or anything else that you have to put in front of them. Next, we are going to talk about SOPs, standard operating procedures. This is a big one. I would honestly say that probably 85, if not 90% of the sales orgs that I personally worked with don't really have this outline. And it's the most boring thing in the world, but it makes all the difference in the world. The problem right now is that solar is such a low barrier to entry that, again, we can get that LLC, we can make that EPC relationship, we can get family, friends, etc. to be that first batch of salespeople for us or operations people for us. But then we get the people and we know what to do, but everybody's just, flying by the seat of their pants, so to speak. SOPs help everyone know exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, and how they're doing it, right? So a leader doesn't have to crack a whip. Everything is structured, very scheduled. A standard operating procedure in solar is so beneficial because the fact that everyone has a 1099 title in most cases makes them feel like they can do whatever they want when they want. I don't know about you, but that's not how I run my organization. And it's not so much that, I'm the king and you do what I say, but more so, hey, if you align with our culture, if you align with our vision and our core values, and you love what we're after, and you love the product that we sell and the benefits that it can provide to our homeowners and to your family and to your bank account, then you would agree that working at this time and at this hour and doing these tasks during this time and this hour is going to be the best possible chances to get you there, right? So a lot of people ask, like, Rich, how do you get people to stick to a schedule if they're 1099? What about employment laws? Doesn't that dance on the laws? What if you get, fined, right? So here's the thing. We're not having people sign off on like a contract that makes them adhere to that schedule. But in that initial meeting, once I get that yes, I let them know what the schedule is. And I say, hey, obviously, at the end of the day, you are your own business owner. You are a 1099 sales rep and you are agreeing to work with us, right? Here's the schedule of our sales meetings, right? And then when we're not in a sales meeting or sales training, from this hour to this hour, we only do 2 things, right? Again, our number 1 core value is simplicity. So if we're not in a sales meeting or a leadership meeting of any kind, we do only 2 things in this position. Number 1, we talk to people about setting up a time to talk about solar for their home. And number 2, we sit down with people and talk to them about solar for their home. That's it. During the golden hours, those are the only things that we do. We're in a meeting to get better about talking to people, or we're talking to people about setting aside a time to talk to them about solar, or we're sitting at their kitchen table talking to them about solar on their home. That's it. So during the golden hours, my guys know we're not doing the cute stuff, right? We're not designing yard signs. We're not designing flyers. We're not working on Facebook ads. We're not doing, TikTok skits and all this other stuff. You can do that stuff in the morning and in the night, but during the golden hours, when people are doing commerce, when they're doing business, we need to be doing the same, right? So when people come into their organization, they look at that schedule, but they also know that, man, this guy and this team, they've got something that I want, right? They've got the core values that I buy into. They've got a product that is very unique right now that really helps people and creates a win-win. And they have a system that is going to allow me to get there fast. And they also have people who have already gotten there. So on the outside looking in, why would you not agree to something that is guaranteed to help you? Again, accountability. I don't know about you, but the only reason that I brush my teeth right now as an adult is because when I was a toddler, I didn't want to brush my teeth, but what did our parents say? They made us do it over and over and over and over. So today, we don't even think about it. It's just something that we do, right? That's the power of accountability. That's the power of like-mindedness. And so when you sit down with a sales rep of any kind, it could be old or young, when you ask them what their income goals are and why they haven't achieved them, they might have a ton of reasons why, right? But at the end of the day, the reason why any of us haven't hit certain goals yet is because we lacked a system to do so. So when I can put in front of a rep who comes in and was like, yeah, I've done okay before. I made, 80K, I made 120, but I'm really trying to break through that plane and get to 250, right? And I can show them based on our comp plan, based on our schedule, based on our lead flow, that would you agree that this is the vehicle on the right time and the right company to help you do that, right? I get a yes from them. All right, perfect. Would you agree that the only thing in addition to this that you need is that accountability? And I give them that same toothbrush when I'm a toddler scenario, like, hey, the only reason I do it now and the only reason you do it now is because someone made sure we did it every single day, right? And same thing, you get that buy-in on the time. We don't want to have a schedule, but the schedule is the only thing that's going to make sure that we're doing revenue generating activities on a daily basis when we should. Because at the end of the year, when you guys get that 1099, that W-9, and you're looking at how much money you made, the biggest determining factor is how many actions towards my goals did I take on a daily basis. So if I don't have blocked out on my schedule, golden hours, this time to this down, Monday through Friday, shorter hours on Saturday, and I'm showing up every day realizing I'm going to keep it simple. I only do two things. If I'm not in a meeting, I'm talking to people about solar. If I do that every single day and I stick to the schedule in the right vehicle with the right leadership, surrounded by the right brothers and sisters who are also like-minded, who want to be more, do more, and have more out of life, dude, it's nearly impossible that I can't hit my goals, right? This is what I'm having them basically realize in that conversation. So I'm not forcing anybody to do something that they don't want to do. I only want to be surrounded by, and I only want to bring onto my team people who are bought in themselves, people who are making that decision themselves. And if you know me, I train sales the same way. I don't want to convince a homeowner to go solar. I want to lay out the information and pose really creative questions to help them come to their own understanding. And candidates in recruiting and onboarding and training and sales training, it's a lot of the same way, right? So again, standard operating procedures are huge, right? And with it, it's basically kind of like a workbook for the company. So if you have someone come in, whether they're a sales rep, whether they're on operations team, whether they're an appointment setter on the phones, everybody has basically, here's the schedule for my position, here's what we do, when we do it, how we do it, right? Here's my comp plan that drives performance. I know with every couple of appointments that I set that show up, I get paid more money so I can promote myself without having to worry about leading a team, right? I have that at a glance soon as I start the company. There's no fuzziness on what's going on here, who's this, where do I go for help if I have this situation or that situation. Everyone, based on department and position, know exactly where to go, what to do, how much they're getting paid, and what the end result looks like for them. When you have that amount of detail on your company and on your structure, it's a game changer compared to everybody else in the Wild Wild West right now. But more than not, it gives people clarity. And when people have clarity and when things are simple and they have just, again, a clear roadmap on how to go forward, and you have as many bodies as possible going in the same direction. Again, I said it in part one, but that is how you achieve big results, okay? So again, every department and every position has a schedule with what we do when we do it, and then each position, what are your tasks in this position, right? If you are a sales consultant, it is attend all company meetings, whether virtual in person. During this time to this time on this day, we are either, knocking, calling, or pitching homeowners, and that's pretty much it. And then as far as chain of command, do I have a question about installs? Well, I go to the workbook if it's a question that I need to be trained up on for the homeowner, or I go to my operations person first, I go to my team lead, whatever it might be for your company, right? Depending on your structure, your organizational structure. But again, from day one, if in the SOPs, it shows them where to go if you have a question about this, where to go if you have a question about that, everybody can move faster. The hardest part about people joining our opportunity of solar is getting out of the jet stream, getting off the ground, right? I like to use this analogy of an airplane. They say airplanes burn, majority of their fuel just getting off the ground. Solar is the same way. Most people, they either leave our opportunity or they spend a lot of time trying to find the right company because they can't get that first 30 to 60 days right. No one has here's how you come in, here's very clear who's who in our company, leadership, where you go for help, how you make money, how do you be really good, all that type of stuff, and then a roadmap to do it without any confusion, right? When people have that, what we find is they go through training good, they get all their questions answered good, they feel very certain about their activity and what they're doing, then they close deals faster. And then the back end of that obviously is a little bit different, but if they're in the right market and they get paid faster, they can get out of the jet stream quicker. So the biggest biggest thing, again, this helps them is get to the money fast. You should be thinking as an owner, how quickly can I get people paid? How quickly can I find a reason to pay them, right? Obviously, them getting in the home and closing a deal is going to get them, close to getting paid really fast. But do you want to offer training bonuses? Do you offer shadow bonuses? Money talks, right? And nothing makes people more excited than when they can join an organization and they can start to mentally associate your organization with progression, with winning, with financial abundance, with financial achievement. So I like to do things like hiring bonuses during the season, so they know as soon as you come out of training, if you're the right fit person, we're going to pay you right away. And then as soon as you take a shadow that closes also during training, we're going to give you more reasons to basically pay you, right? Small amounts of money. But what it does is, it's really like a dopamine act, right? I start to give them that dopamine drip of when you do the activities here, you get paid. So there's this excitement. It doesn't have to be large amounts of money, but it's frequent, right? It's almost like I'm getting money for nothing here. I just signed up with this company. I like the people who I work around because they're very similar to me. They're all driven, right? They're after more out of life in all areas, in relationships and parenthood and finances and health. I love that about it. And then I just keep getting paid. I got paid when I started. I went on a shadow. I sat there. I didn't say anything. I got paid again. So again, it's kind of like I like to use the analogy of an Apple product, right? Apple uses their cell phone boxes to be kind of hard to open on purpose, because as you're opening the product, there's this anticipation. It makes it more exciting because it's a little bit slower. Well, you can take that same psychological process and go, okay, we know that it might take them 30 days at a minimum to really get paid, like the big bucks here. But how can I create breadcrumbs that is going to create this more excitement as they go through this period, so that they're really bought into us as a company, really bought into me as a leader, but more importantly, really bought into this opportunity of helping people transition to solar. And you can do that with very small amounts of money, but frequent. Next, I'll talk about departments that we see in sales-only sales organizations, right? So first example is that I'll use mine. We have outside sales reps, we have inside appointment setters, and we have operations teams, and then we have leaders on all the sales side, right? So outside sales rep, obviously for us, they're hybrid. So they are going to either set on the doors or the phones, but they also self-generate in addition to closing deals. We were not a company that had a separate setter and closing type of model. I never wanted to tell people, hey man, once you set 30 appointments, then I'll teach you closing. I did it the other way around. I actually taught people closing first and then setting after, right? So people have to know the whole pitch presentation, how solar works, how to get people over the line, financing, all of that stuff before we can even talk about how to set on the phones, how to set on the doors, how to utilize social media or maybe even digital advertising to make it easier. And what happens is when you do that, the sales reps have a better experience because that's the stuff they want to know anyways. They want to know how to make the big bucks, right? And if you're talking to people who you don't feel is capable of closing a full deal, you're either undermining that person and you can't see their potential, but then B, why bring that person into your opportunity at all? Because again, for us, I want to be around like-minded individuals. And if I don't feel like you're smart enough to sit down with someone for 45 minutes to close a deal, what kind of value can you bring to the other team members within our company? So I think on the front end, I think a lot of people are shooting themselves in the foot from an organizational standpoint because they don't have lead generation, which is the real reason. So they just make people set. And then later with the carrot of eventually you can, eventually we'll get you in the home and we'll teach you closing later down the road, right? So decide on the front end whether you are going to do that and have separate setters and closers, but the departments are going to be key for you to develop the proper SOPs, right? So anyways, back to my original point. So we have outside sales reps, inside sales reps, operation, and then leadership, right? Operations team, their duties as an operational specialist with us is to do all the financing. They handle install relationships. They also do a bit of project management. It's my belief in solar, again, back to our number one core value being simplicity. If I can basically clone myself, if I can water down my sales process, my sales psychology so much that I can teach it to someone who came from middle of the mall, who came from serving, who came from car sales, teach them that, and then I give them a sales support team, a person to help them run the deals. If a homeowner has a credit fail, right? My operations specialists, they know objection handling. They know how to go to a different lender and try something that is more likely to get that homeowner approved, right? Whether it's financing, whether it's leasing, whether it's going through own in-house financing with credit unions, they are so beneficial to our team that we wouldn't get half as many deals as we would get if we couldn't offload the responsibilities around financing, contracts, designing systems, customer success, and installer relationships. When you guys make a salesperson become a salesperson, engineer, a project manager, communicate with with the installers. If they're doing all those things, they have less time to be in front of a customer driving production on closing more deals. It helps out a lot. Every company doesn't have to have that. You might not have the resources to do that and to pay for a sales support team, but you should definitely work towards it. It can be the difference in the world. Because again, I'm a simple man. If I have to show up to the home and be responsible for designing, working with multiple different lending options and all that stuff, I'm not going to be able to be totally present with the homeowner, which is what we need to actually close a deal more than anything else, is that relationship, that presence in the home, and that confidence and that conviction to be able to transfer to them. But if I'm sitting in front of a homeowner and I have to design a system and I'm like, and actually 1 second, I've got to talk to the lender for a second because they want these steps, but they shouldn't need these steps. I'm not present. I'm not going to have the highest level of conviction that I could give to that person. But if I'm a sales rep with Revis and I can just be totally focused on delivering our presentation and then relying on my sales support / operations team to do all the back end stuff, then it's significantly easier for the average person to close more solar deals. So what type of departments are you going to have in your solar sales organization? Figuring that out right now and then getting SOPs, schedules, tasks, chain of commands, comp plans, putting all of that into a workbook so that people know when they come in, when they go through digital training and they get a digital copy of that workbook and a physical copy of that workbook, they know exactly what's going on and where to go for all situations that they could possibly encounter, right? And then next, as a sales only company, obviously we're partnering with EPCs, solar installers to fulfill our jobs. Now, I can make a separate video about talking about installers. I could talk about installers and, situations that I've seen and been through all day long. But what I'm going to say right now is you need to find a couple of different relationships that's going to be important to you. A nationwide installer with a great reputation, great brand, great warranty, and then also a local installer, depending on where you are, that's local to you, that when you work with them, you have direct access to the owner of the company. You're not going through a dealer support person who's, who's paid minimum wage to keep communications with you guys. You can't scale your organization if your project management is relied on communication between someone who's paid minimum wage. It's not going to work. Again, the national brands, that's pretty much how they set up because they're so big, but you cannot rely solely on that to scale. You send the national brands the easy deals, the local guys, the deals that might be a little bit more complicated, but you can communicate directly to ownership and project management. But having not all your eggs in one basket will keep you safe financially. And then also it's going to give you more options to truly take care of a homeowner and not rely just on one exclusive partnership, depending on how you want to set up your organization. Now, there's nothing wrong with exclusive partnerships if it makes sense all around the board for where you guys are right now and also what you want to do in the future. But what happens is, what I see that I think is really funny is when guys start off and they have an exclusive partnership, they basically sign themselves up for a job. It's like you created a sales org because you wanted to be a business owner, but then you have one installer, and in that first conversation with that installer, you accidentally walked into a quota because they said, hey, well, once you guys get over 20 deals and once you guys get over 50 deals, we have this higher red line. You're killing it. You told me you did X deals with your last installers. You can do that, right? And so what do most sales guys do? They their ego starts talking. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Oh, we'll hit 50, no problem. Okay, perfect. Well, you know what? I'll take a nickel off of that now if you just go exclusive with us and then only send us your deals, and then we'll give you another nickel on all of these tiers if you guys can do this type of volume. Guys, you got a job. You got a job with no perks. They don't give you any training. They don't give you anything, but you just committed to them volume, and then also you committed to them relationship wise by not giving anyone else any business. Doesn't make sense, right? So if you want to be safe, have more baskets to put your eggs in. And then lastly, guys, this is the most important piece, but a lot of people miss this. It is have a big enough mission and vision. This is really important for recruiting, but it's also more important for sustaining and operating on a daily basis. Short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals are something that you as an owner, you as a sales manager, you have to be able to breathe into your people all the time. Like every single time that you talk to them in the halls, in Telegram, on the phone, the conversation needs to always go back to what you guys are after. And money is great, right? But it's not the thing that most people are actually there. Right now, more than anything else, human beings need community. We have social media, we have the internet, we can have a big following, we can follow a lot of people, but believe it or not, that the digital relationships have created more divide. So what helps right right now create what I love this term. Shout out to my guy Ever. What creates lightning in a bottle is having a really big mission and vision that people can buy into. I'll give you an example. So when I was coming up with our mission statement, again, kind of like our core values, when I would like do research and talk to mentors, I felt like a lot of the Fortune 500 companies just use jargon words and like things that wasn't something that they could live by. And I didn't want to be fake. I didn't want to be inauthentic and say, hey, our mission is to, I didn't want to do that, right? So I wanted to keep it simple, something that when I said it out loud, like there wasn't a radar in your body that was going to be like, this guy's full of it. So our mission is super simple, slightly controversial, but simple nonetheless. It's to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. And then at the bottom of that, it says that money is a byproduct of excellence, that our overriding objective is excellence and constant self-improvement. So let's go back to the top of that. Make a lot of money. Before anything else, you cannot pour from an empty cup. That's why that's number one. I know with the more money that I make, the better father I can be, the better man that I can be within my community. I do a lot of donating to different organizations in my hometown, and every chance I get to just spread this abundance of energy, which is money, I do that. But I can't do that if I don't have it. So number one, we have to have it. Number two, help a lot of people, right? Again, byproduct of having the money, I can help more people. The more money that I have, the more people that I can help. I would love to be able to pay my bills with love, but I can't do that, and neither can you, right? And then number three is to have a lot of fun. Sales can be a roller coaster. It is a grind. Business is a grind. Entrepreneurship is a grind. And so you need to celebrate the wins often. I'm definitely a A-type personality, a very hard drive personality. No one is going to be harder on me than myself, right? And I'm sure if you're watching this video right now, you probably are just like that or align with that to some degree. The double-sided sword element of that is if we don't celebrate the wins along the way, we actually reduce the dopamine in our brain and the desire to keep going through difficult times. So when you again have that like-minded energy and those like-minded people, if you can find ways to constantly reward yourselves for the hard work, whether that is top golf outings, quarterly vacations, quarterly trips, whatever it might be. I mean, we've spent time turning our office into a club, bringing in a DJ, having an open bar, like whatever it takes, right? But we want to be constantly rewarded for our efforts so that we can reset faster, right? If we can reset faster and recharge faster, we can hit the grind even harder this next month, this next quarter, whatever the case may be. So having a mission that you can that is really big, but then you can also make short term is always going to have people drive towards performance. Again, quarterly trips are great, weekly bonuses are great, daily bonuses are great. More than that, what is the large big picture vision that you can really speak on when you are that evangelist for your company? For us, again, this is going to align with our mission, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Our vision for our company was to change the home improvement sales industry as a whole. I knew that I had a different way of doing a lot of things. Honestly, I do things differently than almost anybody else that I could find in solar. I train different, I close different, I recruit different. And so I knew that if I could recruit more bodies and show them this new way of doing things, this new way of serving homeowners within solar, that I would change the trajectory of how people close deals in solar, how homeowners adopt it to not only solar, but direct sales as an industry, right? People hate being sold, but this is America. We buy things all the time. We buy things we don't need all the time, right? So this exchange of being a buyer and a seller, like this relationship since the beginning of time has been a challenging one, right? Like just not a good one. If people think when you told your family you were going in sales, they had a negative thought bubble up, like, oh, you're going to be a salesman, like a peddler, like a used car salesman. Like most people think that you're going to trick people, right? The way that I teach sales, how to be authentic, how to be yourself, how to put the worst case scenarios on the table, and how oftentimes that is going to be the thing that actually gets you the deal, not hurts the deal, and how to really build rapport, build a relationship, how to have expert tonality, right? How to say the same things in a different way. All these things that change the experience that a homeowner has when we're present in the home. I knew that if I strive to build the largest sales organization in the planet, and I taught people things like I just mentioned, that I could change the relationship of a salesperson and a buyer. And if I could change the way that people adopted and bought products, right? And how we sold products in the home improvement industry and the sales industry, that I could leave my stamp, as egomaniac as this sound, I could leave a very positive stamp on the world in a way that was very easy for me to do so, right? When I speak that vision into my people about why it's so important to recruit, right? I know your best friend, your brother, whoever is selling cars, they're selling insurance, they're doing this and that, but you and I both know they aren't selling like this. They aren't taking care of people like this. We know that other solar companies are proudly doing the wrong things, right? So all of our people really feel that, and they believe that like in their heart and mind to the core. So they know, they feel almost like a responsibility. If someone is a salesperson somewhere else, they feel a deep sense of responsibility to get them here so they can be trained properly, right? So they can have a product that is a win-win, and a company who is truly going to do everything in their power to take care of that person. So our mission was to create the largest sales organization on the planet and to change the way sales are done, to make people better at sales, to make people change the way they viewed a salesman, right? Get this idea of a peddler and a used car salesman and a guy who's just going to trick you into buying something you don't need. That's the narrative. We're here to change that, right? Not only that, we're here to show you that in this environment that can hold you accountable, that can give you the resources and training, that you can improve your life and everybody around you, your family, your community, make your bank account fat, all that, right? So really, really good stuff. I talk about it in so many different ways all the time, and everybody else, again, lives and breathes it. But what is your vision? What is your big vision for what you're trying to accomplish, that you can align every trial and tribulation that your organization goes through to justify why it's actually worth crawling through the trenches? Because again, if you just, hey, we knock doors, we make 5K, 10K per sale for commission, and then, you know, you have someone who just got in a car wreck, they just lost a family member, they just got hit with some unexpected financial thing, and then you don't have anything to say to them because you just recruited on money, you don't have core values, you don't have a big enough mission and vision, everybody in your organization doesn't buy into the same beliefs, so this person wants to do this thing, this person wants to do that thing, and everybody else over here, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't have a schedule. Guys, that's most solar companies out there, and the ones who have everything that you just learned about in this masterclass. That's how the legacies are born, the Sunruns are born, the Lumios are born, the lightning in a bottle, the Revises are born, and I want to see more of those. I want to see more companies like doing it the right way and changing the narrative for salespeople, right? And that's what we're going to be able to do. So hey, I hope that you guys have found this masterclass helpful. I'm going to do more of these. Let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Is it recruiting, right? Is it sales? Is it sales closing? Is it solar setting? I'm going to do a whole series on masterclasses this month, but please let me know in the comments what you guys want to see next. I can't wait to see you in the next video.